Oh,
I'll
that's
do it.
right.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, we're live.
All right. Welcome everyone to the ACSAC poster session #1. This is a bit different. I think this might be the earliest poster session I've ever attended. I'm used to these things happening well after dark, but this is nice to have one kind of early afternoon when we're still fresh. Hopefully that means we'll have some good Q&A later. Just waiting for everyone to sort of roll in right now. We'll get started in a minute. All right, looks good. Anybody else comes in later, they can hop on. So for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Brendan Saltformaggio. I am the poster co-chair here, but I really have to give a shout out to Kevin Roundy. He is absolutely Herculean feat that he accomplished to bring the poster session online. We weren't even sure what a poster session online would even look like, and I have to give a big shout out to Kevin because he made that happen. This should be a really good one. We had a good number of submissions to the posters, and we were glad to be able to accept a vast number of them. And it really, we put together a cool program. And I think one of the things that's going to be unique about the online poster presentations is we're going to do pairs of posters. So posters are going to come up in two. We kind of tried to keep them thematically aligned. So we're going to see two posters, one after the other on the same sort of theme, and then we're going to go to some Q&A. So we've got about 5 or 6 minutes for Q&A after each pair of posters, and then we'll move on. And of course, we can take chat, you know, online or any questions you have or stuff like that. So feel free to interrupt the presentations on the chat, and we can address some questions as we go. All right, with that, yeah, we can go ahead and get started with the first poster. All right, so the first kind of pair of posters here are going to be on privacy. So we sort of wanted to start this off with kind of a privacy angle, get everybody in the mindset. So we'll move over to those right now.
Hello, my name is Zijun Ding. I'm here to present our work about the spillover effects of opt-out cookies. Opt-out cookie is a framework for internet users to opt out from behaviorally targeted ads. It is a first-party anti-tracking tool provided by some groups of advertisers, such as Digital Advertising Alliance. This technology allows users to stop ads from behaviorally targeting without blocking them, thus protecting the income of websites and advertisers. However, prior work has found ambiguous effects in analyzing opt-out cookies. In this paper, we're going to answer whether tracking from non-DAA vendors also decreased with the presence of opt-out cookies. We call this reduction a spillover effect of the opt-out cookies. If the spillover effect does exist, we will further analyze whether it remains constant across site categories, such as news sites, shopping sites, and social media sites. Our research relies on an ongoing large-scale randomized field experiment. In this experiment, we recruit participants from Amazon Mechanical Turk and install a custom design extension on their browsers. The extension randomly assigns two browsing conditions to the user, either with opt-out cookies or with no treatment. All the metadata of the HTTP request incurred will be collected. We classify these requests under 4 different criteria by taking advantage of different online tools. This criteria works as variables to identify targeted and non-targeted ads. Our preliminary analysis gives positive answers to both research questions. We conclude them as spillover effect of opt-out cookies for the purpose of anti-tracking. We are collecting more data to test the robustness of the findings and investigate their underlying mechanisms. We would like to acknowledge all the findings listed below. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Thank you.
This work focuses on the perceptions of security and privacy in mHealth. The main motivation is to change the current paradigm of one app fits all to a more customized mHealth adaptable to each user. The objective of this work in progress is to understand what parameters influence security perception for mapping them into mHealth content. An anonymous online survey asked if IT literate users would access sensitive health data such as genetic, medication, and children medical records, if some mHealth content should be blocked, and if display data should be made according to location, type of device, connection, and so on. 47 surveys were analyzed. 79% are women respondents with the biggest age group between 31 and 50 years old. Most participants have a high education, and for the 1/4 that use mHealth regularly, they mainly access appointments, consultations, and fitness data. In such public scenarios, 49% of participants would like apps to block personal and health-sensitive data. They would also prefer that data are blocked or displayed according to the location, type of connection, need to know, and type of requested data. Statistically significant associations were found. Younger participants prefer to show or hide data according to the type of requested data as well as the type of connection used. Also, there is an association between the most common age group, who is more reluctant to access child's medical records in such conditions. Display genetic or child data is associated with the type of connection used, so the perceived physical space that needs protection is the communication channel. Display medication data is associated with the device used, so the perceived least sensitive data by the sample may not be directly linked with security, but with content and its display on the device. We want to repeat the study with a large and more sample Thank you.
All right, 2 excellent poster presentations, both on sort of the human concerns of privacy with these new technologies. I'm going to open the floor to Q&A. If anyone in the audience has any Q&A, please drop your questions in the chat on the Pathable platform. I also welcome if any of the other poster presenters have any questions. You could either go through the chat on Pathable as well, or feel free to unmute yourself and you can just ask your fellow poster presenters.
Okay, so if I just may go for the first question. So I have a question concerning the first presentation there. Do you already have any preliminary results you could share with us there?
Thank you, Carla. Yeah, I would just share the screen so I can share some results. So yeah, so this is my slide, and let's look at table 2. It's a preliminary results. So here we have, okay, we have like number of HTTP requests per page for targeted ads listed here, and we separate all these numbers into as the data from control condition and opt-out condition in our experiment. So here we classify these HTTP requests based on the tools the criteria are listed here, and separated them into DAA, as from DAA member and as from non-DAA member. And I also classified the sender of or actually the pages into different categories of sites, and we can find that there is a drop in the non-DAA ads under each condition of pages here here in like non-DAA group here. So this is the preliminary results.
Great, thank you very much.
Nice, a little live data explanation right there. That's what makes poster sessions great, right? That's what we're looking for. Okay, we'll let the previous presenter go back so we can start on the next few posters. So that was really good. The next pair of posters that we have kind of grouped together are looking at being anonymous on the web, if you will. We have one work that looks at Tor, and we also have another poster that looks at anonymous pub sub. So as soon as we can get the posters presentations back up, we'll take a look at those.
Hey, Marcy, are you able to share the screen again? There we go.
However, before a client can build a circuit. Hi everybody, and welcome to this work in progress presentation towards an evaluation framework for Tor load balancing. As a quick reminder, in Tor, traffic is forwarded by relays that can be used for privacy preserving paths in the network. However, before a client can build a circuit, knowledge about existing relays is required. Once a client knows about the available relays, they have to decide on how to select 3 of them for a circuit. The exact procedure of how to do this is defined by the so-called Tor load balancing mechanism. However, up to this point, there is no agreement on how to evaluate the quality and security of this mechanism. And this is precisely the point we want to tackle in this work in progress paper. We want to provide a conceptual framework for evaluating the Tor load balancing mechanism. This would enable an objective way to evaluate existing load balancing mechanisms and get a better understanding of their advantages and security problems. Furthermore, it would also enable further proposals to be more focused on the actual design. This is important as, up to now, every new design introduces its own evaluation approach and terminology. Such a framework should include a classification of different approaches to load balancing in Tor and unify the terminology used to describe design and quality criteria. Additionally, these quality criteria should be defined and operationalized with testable metrics. We started this process by listing and defining 9 criteria that should be included in such a framework. For example, in order to be secure, the load balancing process should be trustless, that is, it should not rely on untrusted information from relays. You can read all more detailed thoughts on how to design such a framework and trade-offs in the Work in Progress paper. We look forward to hear questions and suggestions at the conference. Take care and stay safe.
Hello everyone. In this short talk, I will introduce to you our anonymous pub subsystem, which is based on private information preview. In this system, we provide a solution to the problem of anonymous multicast communication in open groups. Applications like microblogging, open chat rooms, newsfeeds, and forums are examples of multicast communication in open groups. In these applications, the users communicate based on mutual interests. Anyone can join the group at any time. Usually there are no personal connection or trust between the users. The publish-subscribe messaging model is suitable for these applications. In the pub-sub model, there is a broker. The broker receives the messages from the publishers and forwards these messages to the interested subscribers. The problem here is that the broker knows a lot of information about the users and their interests. The collected data about the users can be revealed or sold to other third parties, which could be very dangerous, especially for users like political and human rights activists. Therefore, there is a need for enabling the users to communicate anonymously and hiding their interests from the broker, other users, and even from a global adversary who observes the whole communication. Our solution for this problem is that the publisher will convert his message into several distributed point function shares, and he will submit one share to each server. The servers will cooperate to reveal the messages of the users. If at least one of the servers is honest, no one will be able to tell which message submitted by which user. Using PIR method, the subscribers will get the published messages anonymously. Thanks, and looking forward to see you in the poster session.
All right, 2 very fascinating works on keeping yourself anonymous. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask them in the Pathable chat window, or if you're a panelist, feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question.
I've got a question about the pub sub model, 2PPS. So what kinds of applications do you imagine supporting using that kind of platform?
So what I mentioned in the beginning of my talk, that this system can support applications like microblogging, forums, or open chat rooms. Any application which had the properties of, there is no personal trust between the users. And also the content of the messages isn't sensitive.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fun. It seems very useful for the publication piece, and then for the subscription piece, it obviously is helpful as well. You could also kind of combine that with Tor maybe in some interesting ways. I don't know, for the subscription anyway. But okay, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Zijun from Zijun University. Today I'm going to present our work in progress work in the whole detection. First look at evaluation against problem squad-based detection. Problem squad-based detection are widely studied.
Thank you. Yeah. So we do, thanks, yeah. So we do still have some Q&A. We do still have some time for Q&A if there's any questions, but I don't see anything just yet. So remember, feel free to ask any questions that you got. I guess we can, in that case, roll ahead. So we've got the next two posters related to, I guess you could say, evading detection, you know, loosely defined. More like humans evading detection from speech recognition and malware evading detection from, you know, from provenance analysis. So with that, we can roll forward. And please feel free to drop any questions in the Pathable chat. We'll be watching.
Hi everyone, I'm Zijun from Zijun University. Today I'm going to present our work in progress work in the whole detection. First look at evaluation against problem squad-based detection. Problem squad-based detection are widely studied for the recent years because it is able to correlate system-level behaviors through causality analysis. The picture shows a timeline of publications of papers. And for more information, you can refer to our recent survey paper. Problem squad-based detection has many advantages, but it also suffers from the dependency explosion problems caused by the coarse-grained data collection, and the mitigation approaches bring underlying risks. The future shows the framework of our stealthy attack graph generation approach. The system has two parts of the inputs. First, we need to collect target machine's historical graph, and then we need the attack graph demo. Then we will be able to calculate a normalized attack circle based on the maliciousness and the stealthiness. With the attack circle graph, we are able to build the attack surface graph, and we can search a stealthy attack chain in the attack surface graphs. We believe our work has several contributions. First, it is able to generate a PG-level attack graph database. With the database, we can not only measure existing approaches from multiple perspectives, but also help us design and training and testing next-generation PG-based detection. For the next step, we will try to prove the feasibilities and effectiveness of the generated attacks based on the real-world attack graphs. And thank you for listening, and welcome to join us on ACSAC 2020. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Vieira-Marques, and I work at the Fraunhofer Institute for Applied and Integrated Security in Garching near Munich in Germany. With my colleagues Romain Perracon, Philipp Sperl and Konstantin Bettinger, I have worked on visualization methods for automatic speech recognition. We have applied two different methods, including saliency mapping and layer-wise prevalence propagation, and we have used them in order to visualize the decision on how deep speech classifies frame-wise the characters, deep speech being an open source speech-to-text engine. We have focused on the LSTM part, thus the neural network that takes MFCCs, map frequency capture coefficients, as input and outputs character probabilities. We have compared two different methods, as I said, LRP and saliency maps, and we have applied two different scenarios. So in one we have averaged over all the different frames we are considering at each time step, because deep speech takes into account not only the current frame but also the 9 frames before and the 9 frames thereafter. Here you see the averaged values. Here you have them divided by frame. So this is the third frame, this is the 9th frame, and this is the 12th frame. And we can see that the frames from the future have a higher impact on the final classification. Further, we were comparing adversarial examples with benign examples, and we can see that adversarial examples have a striking difference to the benign examples, mostly the attribution values being more extreme, as you can see from here. We are very happy to discuss our results. Feel free to reach out to us. It's firstname.lastname@isaac.fraunhofer.de. Thank you very much.
Okay, two very interesting works. Again, any questions from the room? Feel free to drop it in the chat on Pathable. Any other questions? So I have a quick question maybe to get things started off. So for the first poster presentation about the provenance graph-based threat detection, I'm curious if you looked into attackers that might be aware of the provenance graph being collected. Is there any thoughts on what they could do to try to avoid either, try to mess up the provenance graph, basically so that it doesn't show their attack so clearly? Any thoughts in that direction?
Yeah, we assume that attack knows how the provenance graph are collected and what the provenance graph would like in a legitimate system. So what we do is we set up a normal behavior scenario for attacker, and attacker will know this scenario, and they can kind of embed the attack into the normal behaviors. Yes.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah. Let's see. Any other thoughts or questions? Anything from the room?
So I have just posted my question there. I'm not quite sure if I should post them or rather ask them directly, so I'll just go for the direct question. Sure. So I have a question to André Greubel. So are there any plans that your suggestions are incorporated into, or is it just like a theoretical approach?
So this is a question back to André from the earlier tour poster. André, feel free to unmute yourself and answer right away. André might be having some technical difficulties. That's okay. We'll keep that question in the chat, and if we get a chance when André's poster comes around, we will we'll ask the question again. Okay. Well, any other thoughts or chatter before we move on? Hey, Kevin.
I'll ask a question to Carla. So you can see in the speech recognition visualizations that you created some notable differences, which is between the adversarial examples and the regular examples. So is that the ultimate goal, is that you'd have a human looking at this, or do you feel like that could become, the visualization could become the input into something else? What are your thoughts on how you'd use this ultimately?
Well, thank you, Karen, for the question. So the first thing was that we wanted to understand a bit better how deep speed works in general. And then we figured that there are spiking differences. So the plan would not be to have a human checking all of them manually, because that would just be way too much work. But actually, we're thinking about ways to have some kind of automatic decision making based on those values that you get there. in order to analyze if something is adversarial or not. So our plans are that we just conduct a few more experiments and then see if we can get a reliable method based on this. But in order to analyze all those methods in detail, you would need to take a look at adaptive attacks. So we are still in the progress of doing this, but the ultimate goal would be to use it both ways, to understand the speech recognition system, but then also to have some kind of automatic decision making if something is adversarial or not. And as of now, we are positive that one could use this information at least as one feature.
Okay, very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, very cool work. Okay, well, barring any additional questions, I guess we can roll on. We've got 2 more posters coming up. These posters are about, you could say, anomaly detection. So we're going to see some anomaly detection style work coming up. So thank you so much, Marcy. You can go ahead and play them.
Hi, my name is Noman. I'm a PhD student at Cardiff University in UK. The distance protection scheme is one of the critical schemes in the transmission substation response principle protecting transmission lines. The cyber attacks on distance relay zone settings can trigger forced tripping of circuit breakers or an overloaded transmission line. In either case, it can potentially cause cascading effective failures with an adverse impact on transmission substation operations. So in this way, we propose an approach for attack detection and situational awareness-based anomaly discrimination between distance relay attack, natural events, and normal load disturbances on transmission line. We constructed a pragmatic attack scenario where we showed how an adversary can manipulate the tripping zone settings of a distance relay to trip the transmission lines, which can potentially trigger cascading failures in the transmission substation. We utilize the power system datasets and use machine learning algorithms for our anomaly detection scheme by optimizing and applying the hyperparameters of an ensemble classifier bootstrap aggregation. To use this classifier, we use instance-based learner as a base classifier. We also identified the leading power system attributes in the anomaly detection in conjunction with comparing our results with other popular machine learning algorithms. Our results showed that the leading power system attributes were impedance measurement for relays, current and voltage phase angles, and current and voltage magnitude. Our results also showed that our approach using bootstrap aggregation with the base of instance-based learner can discriminate and predict anomalies with 97.53% accuracy, which is a far better result as compared to other algorithms for different scenarios, including distance relay attack. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Tiago and I am presenting our poster on usable logs as a security response to attacks by people close to us. Smartphones can be highly sensitive devices. If someone picks our phone, they can have access to the digitized workings of our lives. And unauthorized access is not unusual. Me and my collaborators have estimated that 31 of participants in a fairly large convenience sample identified with having had looked through someone else's phone without their permission in the preceding year. In another qualitative study, we explored what these attacks look like by requesting personal stories about the incidents. We identified that building trust required displaying vulnerability to breaches like sharing an access code. One takeaway from our previous work is that at least we should give consideration to non-strangers in threat models, and now access will be used to negotiate trust. This research aims to bridge that gap by offering security capabilities that accommodate the social relationship between self and others. Activity logging offers users the opportunity to know if the device was snooped on, without having to engage in any explicit action, such as changing users' accounts. It can also act as a deterrent if potential snoops know that the device records activity they may reasonably fear being detected. The data gathering component is responsible for listening to accessibility events using the Android Accessibility Services API occurring in a user's smartphone. The parsing system is constantly listening to newly generated sequences and is responsible for transforming the raw data stream into its respective human-readable log. Our future work will focus on designing and evaluating interfaces that accommodate the collected information and allow users to spot intrusions to their usage.
All right, two very interesting projects there. Again, any questions for the two anomaly detection works that we heard about right here? Feel free to type it in the chat or just ask away. Well, I have a quick question for the first poster. You had talked about using an ensemble approach to detect these attacks. I'm curious if you looked into different combinations of algorithms and how did you arrive at the conclusion of the one that you picked and why it works best?
Well, thank you, Brendan, for asking this question. Well, we did actually try, when we used the ensemble classifier, we tried different combination with different algorithms. For instance, when we used bootstrap aggregation, we tried it with the ICBAS and BiasNet as well. And similarly, when we also used AdaBoost with the different base algorithms. So in the poster work, we just presented few results, but actually we've tried several combinations. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. That makes sense.
Sure.
Any other questions, anything from the room? Oh, we've got a question from the audience. Kevin Butler actually asks, for the second poster, very interesting work. Have you considered the issue of technology-enabled abuse? For example, stalkerware in the context of your authentication mechanisms? Is someone being coerced to use this technology?
Hi, thank you. Excellent question. In this line of research, we have been trying to find ways to use logging as a deterrent, but actually we found that people were very keen on using it in ways that they shouldn't be used. And besides the use case of people being coerced, we found that people were eager to use this as a decoy, for example, to understand if they could trust someone or not, to use it to collect information of others, so they would borrow the phone and eventually get info of what others would use. And that is something that we are now, one of the problems that we are now focusing is how to move this forward without being more of a problem than a solution. So yes, that's something that we are discussing now, and it's probably our main concern is how to move this forward without doing more harm than good.
That's pretty fascinating. It totally did not occur to me when you presented the work that it could be an actually useful for an attacker or for an actual stalkerware app to summarize things in this way, right? But it makes sense now that you've mentioned it.
Let me just add that even the asset that a usable log is then very likely to be a target for an attack because it's something very valuable. So we obviously we continue thinking this is something to move forward with, but we need to be careful, and this is particularly it has been delaying us a little bit, even in doing more research studies and putting this in the wild, because we know that people are very thirsty for using it in wrong ways. So now we are trying to find other ways to safeguard these logs and make them more usable on the long run.
Yeah, that's excellent work. Excellent work. Any other questions on these two posters from the room? We actually have a poster on the chat over here, a question on the chat over here for a previous poster on the tour work. Carla, if I could get you to unmute and go ahead and ask.
Hello. Okay, so my question was, as you said, on the tour presentation. So I was wondering if there are any plans to incorporate those suggestions in tour, because you were just kind of presenting the way of how to the way of how you would suggest a metric, but I was wondering if you were also thinking about like using that metric for the tour services.
Okay, yeah. So one of the key problems we try to address, and because it's actually only work in progress, we identified several areas of interest which are relevant for the security of Tor. However, we don't have concrete metrics yet. And the problem is not that we have too few metrics, but instead we have way too many metrics. For example, decentralization is defined right now currently in 3 different ways. 2 of them were presented at ACSAC, and one of them this year, the other one 2 years ago. And this is really bad if you have 3 different metrics for just measuring the same thing, especially if they are contradictory to each other. So the hope in our work is that we find other participants of the community which are researching this and try to find an agreement on how to actually define it in a meaningful way. And if you find such a consensus, then of course, hopefully it is adopted by the Tor community at all. But we still have to find this consensus as of now.
Thank you very much. And
Yeah,
all the
great.
best.
Thank you. Me too.
All right, thanks y'all so much. Okay, and we will move on to our last pair of posters. You could say that these are in the using machine learning to fight cyber attacks category. So thank you so much, Marcy. We can get those started.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. My name is Stephen Moskal from the Rochester Institute of Technology, and today we will be discussing translating intrusion alerts to cyber attack stages using pseudo-active transfer learning. Let's get into it. Intrusion alerts come in high volumes and sometimes difficult to understand the impact of that alert, which may require some research into what the alert actually is describing. So we propose that this research process can be automated by leveraging information contained within specific cybersecurity texts, such as vulnerability reports, blogs, etc., to better interpret alerts into a more intuitive description, such as a cyber attack kill chain structure. So we use the UML fit deep architecture to create a language model from these texts and then transfer that knowledge into a text classifier. And then to combat the need for a large amount of labeled data, we employ active learning strategies and a semi-supervised training method known as pseudo-labeling to refine the model even further. So our initial training data set uses only 850 labeled Suricata signatures. And with these signatures, we were able to achieve exceptional performance using text from, say, MITRE CVE and the Suricata database to train the language model. And we improved performance by over 30% over conventional NLP classifiers. And then to refine further, we found that adding additional 1,000 low confidence pseudo labels to the model, we were able to achieve 83% accuracy of the 64,000 Suricata rule database with just the 850 manually mapped samples. So in our upcoming paper, we discuss our methodology and our performance metrics in much greater detail. So with that, thank you for tuning in. My name is Stephen Moskal. Stay safe out there. Bye.
Hi, I'm Jong Kim, the first author of the paper. This video is a presentation on feature engineering using file layout for malware detection. Our research motivation is a problem that occurs in malware detection based on CNN using structure entropy. First, what is structure entropy? Structure entropy is an effective feature for Maria detection. Its entropy values are extracted from chunk using Shannon formula. However, that has some problem which do not consider file layout, and we call it ambiguity in binary. For instance, window P file in figure 2 has a common file layout called section. This layout has their own functionality. In structure entropy, the same pattern may appear, but its meaning may differ. We call it ambiguity, and this can reduce Maria detection performance. So we add information which is section names to which chunk belong to structure entropy. We divide each chunk by section and extract structure entropy. Then we make one-up vector of section names and concatenate one-up vector and structure entropy. And we compare the result by using CNN-based Maria detector. This is a result of our experiment. This shows improved performance when adding our proposing feature, false accuracy and F1 score. In this experiment, our feature improved the accuracy by 3.3% and the macro average of F1 score by 0.05 compared with the entropy stream. In conclusion, we figure out that section information can improve performance of Maria detection model with realistic sample. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, two great works. Any questions from the room or, Pathable? Feel free to drop your questions. All right, well, I've got some maybe to get us started while people are typing furiously their questions into the Pathable chat. So I actually have one for the first poster. So I'm curious, when you were looking at these cyber attack stage descriptions, if there's a misclassification, what does that look like to an incident responder, and how would they know? Is there any way of communicating that, like a confidence or something, if there is a misclassification?
Yeah, so shown actually in the poster itself, what I found out through, what I observed through here is that when we use pseudo-actively trained neural networks like this, the Monte Carlo dropout uncertainty better reflects the correctness of the prediction. And why that's important is because, yes, we showed 83% accuracy for the unknown thing, but we show 99% top 3 accuracy. So if we can identify those ones that are wrong, or that are likely to be wrong, we can steer towards the top 3, which is likely to be correct. Otherwise, and when we ended up finding that 75% of the Suricata database, all 64,000, fell under the threshold, so you can be reasonably confident that that prediction is correct. So yeah, we definitely thought about that use case there.
Interesting. Yeah, thank you for that. That's some good data. And any other questions from the room? Anything for either of these posters? Well, I might have asked the same question to our second poster presenter, but he headed me off at the pass by answering it in the chat. So thank you for that. Kevin, you got a question?
Yeah, I'm just curious for the second paper where you're looking at the entropy of individual sections. Did you get any intuition into the types of, like, maybe false positives or false negatives that this was helping you to handle? Is there like a common type of mistake that was being made when you didn't take the sections into account?
Oh, sorry. Can you give me question via chatting? I'm not good at English, so.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Let's see. I use the Zoom chat.
Can you give me some time?
Sure.
It is called type of file?
I'm asking if there, I'm just asking if you, if there's a specific kind of file or mistake that you can fix using your method. So.
Okay, I can understand, but I didn't consider any about method, only consider type, that structure entropy. So.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe we can follow up offline.
Yeah, absolutely. All good. Thank you so much. And that's all of our posters for this session. We wrapped it up in time, so thanks everyone. The overall work was really good. I hope to see everybody in tomorrow's poster session. Any parting words, my co-chair, Kevin?
No, great presentations, everyone. Thank you very much. And thanks for everyone who asked questions. That's definitely, in a poster session, I think that's one of the big motivations for me if I give a poster is the interaction that I get. So please do follow up with our authors offline, and I'm sure they'll appreciate any insights that you have to share.
And thank you so much to Marcy for fearlessly going through all these presentations. Okay, well, thank you so much. See everybody at the poster session tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Brandon and Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, guys. I'm going to end here.
Thanks. Bye.